What's going on, everybody? Nicky D here, Country Live Man yet again. Today we're murdered an ant. We're just on the break. We're actually on break. We're making a video on break. So yeah, we're talking about a movie that I watched recently that I honestly think is one of the worst films I've ever seen in my life. But I'd like to comment on it because that's what we do here. So I don't know what I'll do. Like, I might just put screens up. I want to start I do want to keep doing my movie reviews, but I want to like I want to have like maybe either some pictures or something to show what we're talking about. So I might do that throughout the review. I don't know how I'll edit it just yet, but if I think I know what I'm going to do, we'll put screens up of what I'm talking about, so you get a rough idea what the movie looks like. So anyway, spoilers coming ahead for the movie Backcountry. Okay, came out like what, 2014, 2015. Anyway, yeah, so one of the worst movies I've ever seen. Okay, so one of the reasons why I picked it was because the Google reviews were really, really bad. Really bad. It was weird because sometimes like the reviews are a little off. Like Rotten Tomatoes might be a little lower, and then Google reviews are higher, or vice versa. So you kind of have to go with that with a grain of salt. But I find the Google reviews are more accurate because like they're someone like me. I'm not really a critiquer. I'm not a film critic. I'm just the regular guy going to see a movie, and if I don't like it, I don't like it. So I feel like I relate more to them. And they were all saying that, a lot of them were saying that this movie had some really dumb moments, and we're going to talk about those. So the moral of the story is, I believe this is in Canada, this couple goes hiking. So it's like, I think Jen and Brad are your main characters. And the first immediate thing I commented on was I found the camera was like kind of askew. Like, it was always either like zoomed in way too much or really shaky, and apparently that's actually legit a thing like throughout the movie. That was probably within the first 10 minutes I noticed that, and the build up was really slow. So in like the first act, if you call it that, because it's an hour and like 20 minutes, right? It's a very fast movie. Literally, like that was a very quick runtime. So and it felt long, which is the funny thing. Like it actually felt like a longer movie, yet being so short. So yeah, the first act is kind of long, and I think it's because they're trying to like set up the fear of the movie, right? So anyway, like I said, the idea is that this couple goes out to the woods and like, I don't know where they are, right? Like Vancouver or something. Obviously the movie's supposed to take place a little while ago because it looks like they've basically got like BlackBerry cell phones. They're a little more old school. They're not like, an iPhone 11. And there's multiple foreshadowings of things to come, right? So his girlfriend Jen has like, a flare. She's got bear spray, and he even makes a quick quip about how we're gonna see out there's a chipmunk. You know what I mean? Literally in bear country. I was like, okay. But needless to say, yeah. So first aid spray, there was like a first aid kit. They actually do take that. I was surprised because they get offered a map and he doesn't take it. So later in the movie, he actually, the main character, or one of them anyway, admits that he hadn't actually gone on any of these trails since he was like basically 15 or something. Like he says like school, like high school or something. So, somewhere around that age, obviously. Which I think is really funny because obviously he's displayed to be like probably, let's say, like 30. So like it's clearly been quite a while since he's been on any of these trails. And I also found it really odd that they're going in and they see people leaving, and when they're in the actual like in the camping and all that, they see no one. Like that they just went to like a completely deserted spot, and they reserved like a campground, right? So that also was very confusing because if you're reserving it, that usually means there's some kind of business going on, meaning there's probably going to be other people. Like you might not even bother reserving if it wasn't really busy or anything. So I don't know, little odd. A couple things they don't show throughout the movie is just like, for one, like how they're getting fresh water. There's no like outhouse or something like that where they're going to that had fresh water. So I guess you could assume that they're using like tablets or something. And they also throw in the neighborhood guy that basically is a tour guide in the area. If I remember correctly, honestly, it's kind of a blur now. I don't even remember the guy's name, but I think he was Irish. That was the idea. You're like, oh, okay. And it's supposed to lead up to him kind of being creepy because he kind of happens upon the camp when Buddy's out for firewood. He comes back and his girlfriend's chatting him up and invites him for dinner. And then it's like literally like pitch black, and at the end of the dinner he just kind of leaves. Also, there's a little conflict because the boyfriend was a little nervous about him, but was like, okay, I think we're good, we'll let him join us, and he kind of picked up on that, and I mean, it's a thing, like you can be friendly to an extent, but like it was an odd place, so it kind of makes you like allure to the fact that this guy might be trouble. Obviously, he's not trouble. So they're only going a couple nights. Every night they hear like either cracking around the tent. You know, there's clearly signs that like a branch has been broken or something. So like clearly something's there, and he just keeps saying like it's acorns or oh I saw it, it was a squirrel, and I don't really believe it. So what it actually is there's a bear, right? That's the whole idea. There's a bear following them, big black bear following them. Which I find is interesting that it's following too. Like they're moving away and it's following. Anyway, so they get up to this look-off. This is where I really just face-palmed completely. So they get up to this look-off, and it's clearly the incorrect look-off. They meant to be another one, they're at a wrong one. So they get up to this wrong look-off, and I think the reason why it's kind of like desolated, like not too many people around is because like, there was one of the trails was closed, and that's the trail they thought they were going on. But it doesn't really make much sense to me, because if they went to the wrong trail, wouldn't there still be people on that trail? So maybe I'm not too sure. Maybe it is really that quiet of a spot. But at the end of the movie, there's like literally like a dozen people, right? Like going on a tour. So it's clearly still like a fairly busy spot. Needless to say, they get up to this look-off. They look around. They realize in the wrong spot. They didn't grab the map, obviously, right? So they're like, oh, shoot, that's probably a bad thing. So she goes to get her phone. He left it in the car because in the beginning of the movie, his girlfriend is like texting a lot and she's not really like listening, and he gets frustrated with that. So he actually had the audacity to leave it in their vehicle, parked way at the other end of the campground, which they canoed to where they were. So they're not doing that. They're not just getting that in 20 minutes. So they pitch up tent there, and this bear comes along. Now, there's been a little interaction where it's kind of been around in the woods and stuff, but not really like at the tent. So it's at the tent, and it's, and they don't wake up, and it just kind of goes around the tent, and that's it. It's all good. Anyway, it rips up their food. I guess it pulls it down from a tree. There's always a scene of him hanging the food up. So it pulls it down. I guess it like rips into it. So they're like, oh, okay, we don't really have anything now. They still don't show how they're getting water. So it's like, cool, no idea. So whatever. So yeah, another night goes by where they and they even notice that there's like this like bear, I don't know what you would call it, but like a little hole in the ground, and they even mention that's something for a bear that it like I think it sits in or something. And they were like, okay, we should probably get out of here. Like we should just move away as far as we can, because it'll probably come back to this location, which I think was probably one of the smarter things in the movie. Obviously it doesn't happen. So anyway, they have a big argument though, and he mentions he was going to propose. That was his big thing. When they're at the rock and he mentions that he hid the phone, he put the phone in the car without telling her. I guess he doesn't have a phone on him too. He was going to propose, so whatever. In the morning, they wake up, and their buddy looks out the tent. He goes to get out of the tent, and the bear's like 25 feet away from the tent, right? Just ladies walking by staring at me. So anyway, like the bear's just sitting there. Like it's clearly sitting there, and it's clearly waiting for them. Which I find interesting. Now, I don't know much about bears, okay, but I didn't know that they would just do that they would just sit there and camp. That doesn't make much sense. I mean, easy kill, right? It's like if you sit on a tactical flare, right? Like on one of those, you just sit there and wait for the guy to spawn and just shoot him or knife him. So anyway, it's sitting there. Obviously, it's going to keep coming closer to the net because he keeps opening the tent and looking out, and then it notices and comes. So it gets up and it ends up like ripping into the tent, but it doesn't like fully get in. It's like halfway through. So it starts just like, I don't know, the camera just keeps cutting to the fact that the bear's like screaming, like it's roaring, whatever you would call it, like growling at them, which was like kind of cheesy, but I was like, I can accept that. One pause in and it's like ripping at the girl, so it cuts both her arms. And then the guy, it just like rips into his leg to the bone and just like drags him out of the tent somehow and kills him. Like basically instantly. It shows it like ripping at him a few times, and then that's it. He's just dead instantly. So she goes to she gets out of the tent. She tried using the bear spray too, by the way. She used the bear spray, just came back pissed, like in like 30 seconds. So she gets out of the tent, and she gets something black in her hands. I thought it was a rock, right? Me and my friend there, the person I'm watching with, we were watching it, and we're like, yeah, okay, like totally, that's a rock, right? No, it was literally the engagement ring. She got the black box that the engagement ring was in and ran off with it, which was the smartest thing, again, was just to run away. Later on, and not very long after, you realize this bear is following her, like it's now just going after her deliberately. She actually runs away from it. Like they show a scene where she's running and it's like behind her, but she still like kind of outruns it. Gets to a cliff that was briefly mentioned earlier from The Irishman about where all the tourists go. There's no one there, by the way. And she like falls and like breaks her ankle. So she makes a splint, with like a stick in a sock. I was like, okay. And then like waddles off. That's not much happens from there on. She just kind of waddles. She like sleeps in a tree, and then eventually she gets back to the campground, finds the canoe without much issue, and just paddles along, gets to where, and it looks like it's obviously been a couple days. Like at that point, she's got no food or water. They actually show her drinking right out of a river, and that's not ever a good idea, right? So I was like, whatever. She coughs for like 3 seconds and then just keeps drinking it. Yeah, so she gets on the canoe, gets back to the land, like the main area, like where like the security was, or the, where you check in when they rented the canoe from. And the Irish guys there with like a bunch of tour guides are like new people that are touring the area, and he runs over to her and the movie cuts to black. I was really disappointed with the whole movie. I thought it like, you could make it really suspenseful with the bear, and I mean, that was the only part, but I think it was just so hilarious how it was done. Like, I kind of wish the boyfriend actually like lived on a little bit and then like maybe died like later on, or like it was at a point where she had to make a call, like, do I run from the bear with him and like we both probably get effed up, or do I leave him behind and let him be kind of sacrificed, like that. I could have seen that, and he gives the ring over to her. I don't know, like just something like that, right? Like make it more like meaningful that he like, and we care. But yeah, I think like overall the dialogue was pretty rough. The stupidity was really at an all-time high. There's nothing worse than like basic survival skills, just not having them, let alone like just inviting a random into your tent at like just to come eat with you at like 8 p.m. in the woods. Again, nobody being around. I just thought that was odd because they passed like 5 people walking in. As soon as they canoe over, there's like 5 people leaving, and it's on the weekend. So, so you think there'd be some other people. It's a popular campground by what they show in the movie. So I don't know. She has like a whistle at one point. She like blows the whistle once, and then like that's it. Like it just falls into a river, and it's forever gone. I think she yelled for help one time. I still don't think that would have been a bad idea. Maybe to try a second time. And there's even a sound of a helicopter flying, so I'm really confused if they were actually like searching for them, like they had gone missing or something. But yeah. So anyway, it only appeared that they were there for several days, right? But yeah, I mean, yeah, bear attacks are no joke. And I don't know, the bear just looked funny. I mean, it's evidently it's CGI'd, right? Like there's no joke about that. You can tell what it is. But just the scene of her running from the bear was actually hilarious. I had a really good time with that. I laughed a lot during this movie. I'd rate it like a 2 out of 10. It or maybe more a 5 rating. If I did a 5 rating, I'd still probably say like a 1.5 stars. Yeah, like 1.5 out of 5. And I think that for that rating would strictly because it was funny. You don't take that movie seriously, and I think you'll have a great time. All right, thanks for watching, guys. More movie reviews on the way, because we watched, I don't know, we watched other movies. All right, take it easy. Thanks for watching, you pencil pushers. If you guys want to check out my Instagram here, I've just got it in the background. It's Nick Daniels Photography with an underscore in between each word where I post every day. That's a lie. Thanks for watching. Peace.